Scaling a digital agency or service business has changed forever. The models that worked for the last decade, like big retainers, big teams, endless client work, they're all breaking. And the truth is, we're entering a brand new era for agencies and online service providers. And the good news is there are now smarter and more profitable ways to scale our businesses that don't require us to work more hours and or even have to hire a ton of people. And I know this because I've spent the last decade inside hundreds of agencies watching what's breaking and what's quietly working for the people that are winning. Now, in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 pillars for scaling a digital agency or service business in 2026 and beyond so that you can make more while working less. Now, to start, let's get clear on what we're actually trying to escape from, or else we might just accidentally slip right back into our old bad habits. Now, running an agency the old way is sort of like trying to fix every problem with a Swiss Army knife. Now, I'm not the handiest guy in the world, as my wife would probably tell you, but very rarely do I feel that the Swiss Army knife has the exact tool for the job that I'm trying to do, right? It does a bunch of things okay, but in most cases, I'm wishing I had a specific tool for the job. So while it can get me by in moments of need, it's not really going to get me far. So a Swiss Army agency operates this old way. They sell time and skill, not outcomes. They spread work over long periods of time to justify their retainer. They add more services, which just dilutes their focus and requires them to build bloated teams. And then they have to scale through people and management. The result is a low profit business where you're constantly hiring and you don't really have the freedom that you probably got into business for in the first place. Now, the new model flips this entire approach on its head. Instead of trying to be everything for everyone, we specialize. You're going to build a single, powerful solution, a focused service that delivers real outcomes. You scale through systems and your unique know-how, your intellectual property, not just more people, not just more bodies. You simplify, you productize, and you're going to use automation and AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting and give you time back. And the result in the new model is you're going to have high margins, super lean teams, and a business that actually works for you, your schedule, and your lifestyle. Now, that's the real shift happening in 2026. The most profitable agencies aren't trying to be the Swiss Army knives. They're building precision tools. So how do you make that switch? Let me show you the exact pillars to build your agency around moving forward so that you can thrive in this new era. So pillar number 1 is to productize your expertise. In the book Built to Sell, Alex's mentor, Ted, tells him that most service businesses are too dependent on the founder because every project is customized. So when you say yes to every client request, you're effectively building a new business each and every time. Productizing, which is simply just turning your service into a repeatable, standardized offering, removes the founder dependency by doing a few things. First, it's going to allow you to define a specific problem that you solve, which allows you to offer a consistent package solution, getting into the outcome that they want. And you're going to deliver it through a repeatable process that anyone on your team can execute. Now, this shift makes the business scalable and transferable since it's no longer tied to the founder, your creativity, or your personal involvement. So here's how we do that. First, I want you to pick the one thing that you want to become known for, the outcome that you get your clients. You should be able to say, I help, and then insert your ICP, your ideal customer profile, achieve a specific result. You should be able to complete that statement. And that actually becomes your niche or your positioning statement. Now, next, I want you to reverse engineer the outcome. So I want you to look at the outcome that you've decided that you're going to get your clients or that you've been getting your clients. And I want you to go backwards, uncovering the step by step that you took to take them from problem all the way to the outcome where they are now going to be happy. That is your signature framework. It's your step-by-step method, your special recipe. Now, here's the magic. I want you to give that framework a name and make it a visual. Here are just some examples of the visual frameworks that some of our clients have created. It can be circles, triangles, squares, staircases. It doesn't really matter, but you need to give it a name, which makes it a thing, right? Name it and claim it. And then you're going to have a visual which is going to showcase this system. So when you do this, you're not just selling your time, you're now selling a system, a proven method, a product, and you've made the invisible, your service, now visible because it's a product. Now, this is what separates you from the crowd. Instead of being seen as just another pair of hands, you become the expert with a method. And the market gets clarity because you are going to be talking about it. You'll stand out and everything's going to get easier, from selling to marketing, even delivering your results. That's the power of turning your expertise into a product. It's the first step to building a scalable and differentiated business. But one of the biggest issues that most agencies struggle with in the old way is that they only have one real way to deliver their expertise. And that's a big bloated retainer, which brings us to pillar number 2. Imagine this: you meet your dream client, but the only thing on your service menu is a $50,000 project. Naturally, they hesitate, they stall, and maybe even disappear. Why? Because jumping in at that level feels risky, especially if they don't fully trust you yet, or maybe they've been burned by another agency. And because many agencies still make that their only way to buy, their sales cycle gets painfully long. So having that one entry point becomes a problem. So moving forward, we need to be more creative in how we get clients results and how we get them into our world and then move them up from within our world. We do that by designing offers for the 3 types of buyers: clients, members, and customers. So first, at the top of the pyramid, we have clients. These are your high touch, high cash, low volume type of people. These are your top tier buyers. These are the ones who get the highest level of access to you. You operate at a really high level for them, but because of that, you can't handle many of them at once, and you probably don't want many of them at once. But rooted in this experience, they become your innovation engine because you're working so closely with them that you see patterns. You get to test new ideas and then refine them. And your process ultimately improves everything else that you're offering. Now, the thing about these clients is they're likely at a stage of the client journey that many other people that are coming to you aspire to be at. They're the superheroes, and then the other agencies or the other clients like them that are a few steps behind would love to build a business to be at that level. So these are kind of like the types of clients where everybody else that you serve aspires to be at that same level, which brings us to the people that you're probably going to work mostly with, which is what we call members. This is where most of your revenue and profit should come from. Members are where you take your signature framework, the one that we just created and that you refined through your client work, and you codify it into plug and play systems. Here, you're leveraging your intellectual property and you're delivering it in a more scalable, leveraged delivery vehicle, like a group program or a high ticket consulting offer or a hybrid of those, training or workshops. This is your sweet spot. It is high leverage, high impact, and highly repeatable, which brings us to the last type of buyer, which is customers. All right. Your customers are those that buy your lower ticket stuff, those self-serve offers. These give people a taste of what you can do at a more affordable price, and they help you build trust. Examples of this are a book that maybe breaks down your signature framework, or a $100 workshop like the one we recently ran. Now, the great thing about customer offers is that they can help offset your acquisition costs if you're running ads, which we do for about $5,000 a month. But that said, we usually focus on these last because to make them meaningful, you do need an audience, and you would ideally like to sell a higher volume of those. So, being able to sell 20, 50, even 100 every time you were to do a workshop, or if you had a book for $7, selling a few hundred of those, you want to have that be a little bit of a volume play. So having built an audience and or even running ads at this stage is usually beneficial, but they do help in a lot of ways, especially in today's market where people are skeptical and the trust is super low. It gets people in for a test drive. So how it all works together. The key insight here is that where most people make a mistake is all of these offers become different. But the real trick is to take that signature framework and, say your 9-step process, and it fuels each and every level of what you do. So the customers might just get, a little workshop for one part of your framework. The members might actually go through the entire thing, but in more of a one-to-many vehicle, like a group coaching program or a high-ticket consulting offer. So because it's all built off of your framework, you're not constantly reinventing new things. You're simply bundling and unbundling and repackaging your intellectual property to serve it in different ways to the different buyers. So for example, right now we sell hundreds of digital books each month, a few dozen 100 workshops, 5 to 10 new members into our program, and usually once a quarter I work privately with 3 to 5 high-level clients. Now, none of those are built from scratch. They're all rooted in the same signature framework. So now you've got offers for every type of buyer, and people are coming in at varying levels that works for them. You are meeting them where they are at. But how do you actually deliver all of this without burning out or ballooning your team to this bloated operation that you grow to hate? The answer is in pillar 3. The third pillar of scaling comes from combining our internal data with AI-assisted tools to scale client results. Now, right now, many agency owners are letting new AI tools dictate their offers. So they'll have, tool A, tool B, C, D. This could be whatever. Poppy AI, install whatever agent, whatever you want to include in these tools. But they're using those, and that is making them change their fundamental offer. So their offer is quickly and rapidly changing with the introduction of every single new tool. They chase the latest app or agent and they try to force it into their existing services. And the result, again, ends up being a bloated, unvalidated offer that doesn't really even align with your proven capabilities because you're just chasing trends. The real opportunity lies in the opposite direction. Use your own framework and your proven process and client data to inform how you build or what AI tools you create. So you create tool number 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's all based off of your own data and like I said, your own framework. So when we do it this way, you can go look at your SOPs or your frameworks and or your existing client results, their intake forms. If you've collect any information on the clients that you work with, which you should, you're going to identify bottlenecks, and then you can use AI to create those tools that make your core offer faster, simpler, and more scalable. At Alt Agency, that's exactly what we've done. We saw clients struggle to generate authentic content ideas, which means they stopped creating content, which means their inflow of new prospects slowed down. So we built a custom GPT that helps them turn their weekly experiences into story-driven talking points for their content, and they do it in minutes. This is just what one of our clients had to say about using this new tool. Now, we also noticed clients getting stuck refining their messaging. So we built messaging GPTs that help them clarify positioning, script short form content, and even draft their video sales letters. Now, these tools haven't replaced our framework or our process. They've amplified it. Now, what once took days or weeks for many clients now takes minutes or hours without even losing the quality or strategic depth. The takeaway here is don't let random AI tools define your service. Let your data and proven process define how you use and where you apply AI to multiply results for your existing clients, your team, and your own workflow. Now, while AI helps us deliver faster, it's also made everyone sound the exact same, which is where pillar 4 comes in. We're entering a new era of content creation, one where everyone can publish instantly because of AI, but fewer people are actually paying attention. So as agency owners and service providers, we've gone from rarely producing content to being able to pump out dozens and dozens of posts a day if we wanted. But the problem is It all sounds the same. Everyone's using the same tools, the same prompts, and the same recycled talking points, resulting in a sea of sameness. Now, as Greg Eisenberg recently put it in one of his YouTube community posts, he shared us a study that says social media time is shrinking for the first time in history, and young people are leading this pullback. They have grown up online. They have seen this full cycle, and they learned early that the endless scroll is not making them happier and or even smarter. And so what everyone's calling AI slop is the nail in the coffin. Every feed feels synthetic. Familiar faces are starting to look identical, and voices are all sharing the same recycled ideas. But there is an upside, he says. Attention then is shifting back to things that feel real, that feel slow, and feel intentional. And he claims the next $100 million companies will engineer density, trust, and time well spent. And I can't agree more. This quote says it all. The market is starved for authenticity. The opportunity isn't to create more content, it's to create more meaningful content. People are craving depth, perspective, and real human insight. So instead of chasing every platform or trend, it's time to go deeper on fewer channels. And so before, you would take your offer and your unique point of view, and you would try to be on every single platform, right? You'd repurpose it and it would all kind of look and sound the same. But when we look at what Greg is talking about in this study, where we see people cutting back, we actually decide to get rid of most platforms, or at least publish way less, while focusing on maybe just a couple. So for most of us, that actually means posting less frequently, but with more intention, showing your process, your beliefs, your worldview, and how you actually think. And that's exactly the shift that we made in our business. I stopped trying to be everywhere, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, all those places, which I tried earlier this year, but we doubled back down to what's working. And that's producing one weekly YouTube video, this one, and sending our weekly email newsletter. And the result is that over 50% of our organic leads come from the single weekly video. And pretty much every single new client that comes into our world or buyer that comes into our world references YouTube as a source of what made them want to actually work with us. Between that and our emails and our small low ticket workshops, we're consistently driving new applications and new buyers each and every month. Now, the key takeaway here, I think, is don't try to be everywhere. Try to be unmistakably you, wherever you are. AI can help you repurpose, but only you can create that trust. So in a world where that AI slop, I love that term, dominates your feed, your most valuable differentiator is your realness. It's your beliefs, it's your stories, your lived experiences, maybe even your hats, right? Publish fewer things that matter more. Depth will be the new growth hack. As audiences crave more authenticity online, they're also craving more connection offline, and that's where Pillar 5 comes in. In a world that's increasingly digital and increasingly synthetic, people want what feels real. AI can automate and content can scale, but nothing replaces true human connection. And the data backs this up. According to the 2025 State of Events report, 57% of event organizers reported increased attendance at live events year over year, and 44% of participants say they prefer smaller, more intimate gatherings where they can interact directly with the expert or the creator. So the takeaway here is people aren't just showing up, they're showing up for connection. And that's why we're seeing, digital communities and memberships and masterminds evolve to include in-person touch points, retreats, workshops, local meetups, experiences that turn audiences into tribes and clients into lifelong advocates. I know for Alt Agency, our mastermind meets 4 times a year for retreats, and those gatherings have become the heartbeat of our community. The content is valuable, but it's the human moments, the dinners, the conversations, the going out on ATVs for adventures, the shared breakthroughs. Those are the things that people remember the most. And these experiences might not always be the most scalable, but they're often the most sticky. They build trust, they build loyalty, and a sense of belonging that unfortunately no Zoom call can replicate. And again, as Greg Eisenberg said in his post, attention is shifting back to things that feel real, slow, and intentional. People are paying for these spaces to make them feel grounded, informed, and connected. And I believe that pretty much every agency or service provider has the ability to bring their clients together to create experiences like this. One of our clients, Casey, just held his first in-person mastermind, and he even talks about it being electric. The future isn't about optimizing reach. It's about engineering connection. It's not just about building audiences. It's about building communities that gather. Now, while there will remain to be a ton of noise in the marketplace as to what you could and what you should do, I believe at the root of it all, you're going to see these 5 pillars showing up over and over and over again. Now, I'm curious, which of these 5 pillars do you think you want to focus on next? Let me know in the comments. And if you're sitting there thinking, damn, I need to start productizing my service, go check out this video because I share my step-by-step process that we've taken over 900 founders through.